Hi, my name is Terry Lynch. I'm the CEO of Power Nickel. Power Nickel is moving forward with the Nisk deposit. It's a nickel sulphide project in Quebec. We're having some excellent results, and we're going to talk about that today.
Terry, good to finally meet you in person.
It's great to meet you.
Here we are in grey London at the end of a calendar year.
Yeah, but merry London today with the big English victory. So everyone is happy.
The
all smiles
game,
on the street.
No hangovers in sight. Nobody's had anything too much to drink. No. I'm feeling great.
Yeah, that's why the water is so good.
So you've come over for Minds and Money?
Yes, yeah. And some other investor meetings, but generally Minds and Money. Yeah.
And what's your calendar like? I mean, your diaries. Have you had uptake, interest?
Yeah, we had yesterday 14 meetings, so probably this week we'll do like 40 meetings. So pretty efficient use of the meeting, per dollar sort of scenario. So that's why these events are good. You can see a lot of people in a short period of time. It's condensed. They're there. They're coming by you as opposed to trafficking, through the city and struggling. But it's nice to do both. But it's a condensed and interesting format and fairly good energy at the show this year, much better than last year.
It is, isn't it? Yeah. And in the meetings, have people been, they're not just tire kickers. They're actually showing real interest in the company.
Yeah, I mean, again, you get to sort of request the meetings, right? So you go through all the investor decks, whoever they represent and what they're interested in investing in. So you target the ones you think might be appropriate for your company and your mineral and your stage of development and market cap, etc. So we've had some great meetings, and I think we'll definitely gain some investors and plant seeds also for additional rounds. Like we're pretty small at the moment in terms of size, not small in terms of potential. And I think we'll get to be ultimately, I think we'll get to be $1 billion, so that'll be as big as anybody gets. But you got to get there from here. Right now we're 15 million or 20 million, something like that. So it's a stepping process. Good.
I mean, it's been a pretty torrid year for every resource company. Not many have had a good year. You've, pretty much in step with the wider market.
Yeah. We sort of got as high as 30, and just in the last couple of days got back up to 24. It's around, I don't know, today 18, 20, something like that. So we've suffered like everyone a little bit, but I think now that we started this week with our best result ever at Nisk. And we'll be getting results out every 2 or 3 weeks now for the next 5 months. So we're in a very news-heavy cycle. I think, when the people start to look at the value proposition, they're going to start to, make the right decision, I think, and that'll help the stock move right.
Just as a reminder, the Nisk is deposit. It's relatively planar, tabular body with kind of pretty consistent mineralization, and the drill holes you're referring to were announced 10 days ago?
Yeah, actually Monday. So,
okay.
Yeah, so this one was announced Monday, and it was our first 2 holes from ultimately will probably be, it's going to be a 15,000 meter program. So these holes represented about maybe 1,000 meters in total. And we had our big hole was 26 meters of effectively 2% nickel EQ. It's a good number in nickel, and that's about twice as thick as anything we've had so far. So
is that a true thickness, or is that a downhole thickness?
It's probably about 70%, I would say. Yeah, okay. Yeah, because it was on an angled hole. It was interesting in that it was about 150 meters away from our last, sort of touch with the ore body. So
away on strike or
on strike, and but deeper too. So both out and down. So with the boys have done a really great job of modeling the deposit. I mean, the way they describe it to me and the way I try to describe it to investors is like there's a river of nickel running through this project. And like rivers, they can be wider and narrower. They can be shallower and deeper, and they can be cleaner and muddier. And that's sort of how it winds through there. But they've got a pretty good view of how the river's working.
The fishing analogy coming out.
I'm a Canadian. We love fishing. So it's now we're just trying to plot it in, and we're making adjustments in real time on the fly with the rigs on the permits and stuff.
But that's a hell of a step out.
That is a hell of a step.
That's not That's quite a bold exploration kind of step. I mean, because typically you'd kind of go out in 40 or 50 meter increments, but to go out on a kind of 150 meter step out, and that was an early hole in the program.
Yeah, that was like the first one. Yeah, I guess they plotted it up from a hole much farther out, like probably 500 meters out, and vectoring back. And they sort of, I'm not a geological genius. These guys are, obviously. Last time they hit 7 for 8, so this time they're hitting it out of the park again. So whatever they're doing, I want them to keep doing, But yeah, they basically modeled it up, and they had a vision about where the thing would go, and obviously that was a good one. And so they're tracking it in pretty good.
So you've got a lot of historical data. So that when you talk about 7 for 8, it's not that this project has got 8 holes in it. You've got hundreds of holes in.
That's the thing with this project. It's probably only got maybe 40 holes.
Okay.
Yeah. So very, very lightly drilled. I mean, at this point, I think there was like 13,000 meters drilled before we got there, and then we've drilled 8 last year, and we'll drill probably this year maybe another 40. And not this year. This
this campaign.
This 15,000 meter campaign. So not a lot. It was one of the things we liked about Nisk, is that when we looked at the discovery rate per meter drilled, it's really good.
Yeah.
And now a lot of times you think, well, it's just lucky. Wait till you start drilling, then you're going to miss, and then the averages come down. And no doubt they will, because obviously that's your job, is to push it until the end, find as much as you can. But we're having a pretty high conversion rate right now. And I think that within this fault, this trap between these two faults, and I think between the faults, the guys have a very good idea of where it's going.
The other hole you got back was also a big vertical drop down, and it was kind of at the other end, the west end of that panel.
Yep. And we've got some other holes in between there, which we like what we see, but we haven't got the assays back yet. So I think our takeaway, and I think the big moment in time in any junior mining company's life cycle is when you go from being just another exploration story to being, hey, these guys are going to have a commercial mine. That you can start to sort of look and sort of say, at the current ore body, which probably was around, the historic one was 3.1. We had modeled it internally up to 5 million. And now, with these things, we think by the time we're done this campaign, we'll get between, when we update our 43101, our views will probably get between 8 and 10 million tons. And that will be enough to make us a commercial.
You've told me before that 8 is kind of what your internal measure is for an economic deposit.
Yep. So if we get there, then we'll be commercial. And if you go commercial, if you look at the commercial nickel sulphide mines in the world that are not appreciably bigger in terms of tonnage, they go up to maybe 11 or 12 at the moment. And I'm sure they all have upside, like we have upside. And I think ultimately for us, it's an ultramafic deposit. The other ones like it in Canada were Lynn Lake, 22 million tons, Voisey's Bay, plus 50. We would think that would ultimately end up in that range. The nickel sulphide mines basically are not ever just one pod. Historically, they're multiple pods.
Step by step. I mean, let's define the first one.
True, 100%. Yeah.
And those your peer group. I mean, because we spoke about it in the last interview. I mean, we did this kind of review of the landscape of other companies, and they're all on much higher market caps.
Yeah, they're like 150 to 500 million, and we're 15. So it might be a good time to check it out. And
do you feel that there's kind of renewed interest in the retail market, in nickel stories? Is the battery metals thematic still hot, or is everybody chasing lithium at the moment?
I think Goldman has cooled everyone off on lithium a little bit, although it's a buy signal when those guys tell you to sell. But I think I see more interest in nickel right now, and we're getting a lot of interest at the show. I think it's at the end of the year that are people adding new names at the end of the year? You're always fighting that challenge a little bit, and also the tape somewhat. So I feel like there is buying and it is coming in, and but I don't think it's certainly not at a fever pitch. And I expect the new year will start strong, though. I really do.
It's interesting that I've seen time and time again that a good exploration story can cut through kind of, let's say, a weaker general market, as long as you're growing that resource. And so you're on a 15,000 meter drill program, and you're going to have results coming out on a kind of a regular flow basis over the next 6 months, 3 months?
Basically, from now until the end of April.
Okay.
So, yeah. So, and then there's a lag, right, in the results. So probably results will continue through end of June, probably.
Yeah. So,
and then we'll be updating our 43101 in there as well. Basically, we've got a full metallurgical study happening now will add to the mix, and that'll be another way to sort of. And we hope to get to enough data together to get a updated or get a new PEA out in Q4.
Okay, good. That will set a bar, won't it? It'll give a benchmark that you'll really be able to compare yourself and cost terms to your peers.
Yeah.
Good. So are you going to be drilling right through Christmas? Or are you going to tell me?
We're taking a break sort of December 19th, and then get back at it in mid-January. So the crews take a break, and we'll take a break. We've been pounding the road pretty hard here, trying to get the story out. So it'll be good to sort of focus on some new opportunities, and we've got some interesting thoughts on. There's one of the neat things at the show. You meet a lot of the new technology providers.
Oh yeah,
we've talked to some of them for some time now, and there's some interesting stuff. Have you heard about sound imaging? So I never heard about it either until basically saw this press release with Talon Metals talking about Fleet Aerospace and using this technology called sound imaging to help them discover advance their nickel deposit. So obviously nickel deposit like us, very similar, and so we talked to the team out of Australia. I believe Tesla brought them forward to Talon Metals because they've got that deal. And whether it was something out of SpaceX, because it's sort of like really sort of in the cloud sort of thing, but it's basically, think of it as almost sonar in the ground. And somehow they've been able to translate that into visualizing mineral bodies.
It must be quite like seismic, and you're picking up these kind of the vibrations, waves coming through.
It's like seismic, but different. And what's interesting is, you still have to do the seismic, you still have to do your gravity. But you add this to the mix, and it really sort of can help. So we're
sharpen up the resolution.
Yeah, and help you vector in quicker. And I think it's particularly effective when you have a current sort of discovery, a body that they can look at and say correlate, and say, okay, hey, this is what this looks like. Yeah. And then you go and sort of try and find others. So we're going to be using that, in the new year to advance trying to discover.
And are they here at the moment? In the
they weren't, unfortunately, but we have been talking for some time. But then I met these guys that are basically doing nickel sulphide leaching. Pretty impressive.
The process engineers here.
Yeah, and it's backed by a big chemical company, like $1 billion chemical company, and they just bought them, and they're building a pilot plant with BHP, and it's pretty. It could be groundbreaking and allow you to avoid going to the smelter, and you can go straight to nickel sulphide.
Straight to metal.
Yeah. So that's the type of thing that again, we're a small junior still having to discover your body, but you have to keep your eyes open for these things that could transform your valuation.
Yeah,
you never know.
And you won't necessarily come across it if you're sitting in your office in wherever it is in North America.
Exactly.
You come to a show like this, you meet the investors, and you.
Yeah, and obviously these are people that they need test sites, they need pilot projects, to sort of show that their thing works. And the cool thing about that one is it's not a radically new process. It's the new reagent really that they're using that makes it so amazing. And chemistry is chemistry, and it's quite benign. So from an environmental standpoint, it's really great. So pretty interesting. Good,
but the core business is drilling core.
Core business is drilling core, and we're going to keep on drilling as long as we're finding the good stuff, and we're finding the good stuff. So, look for your power nickel news every 2 or 3 weeks for the next 6 months, and start to put the math together. And I think the other point I would make is that we put our drill results on the site so that people can model this deposit themselves. We're in the full transparency mode. We're not trying to fool anybody here about what we're trying to do. We have a pretty obvious game plan. We think we've got a really great deposit. We're happy to people to sort of look at it and see how we're going at it. And so they'll be able to track it along. So, they don't necessarily have to wait for that 43-101 update to know that we've got a deposit. And I think that's why we're doing it. So we're saying, hey guys, we know internally what we think, what we see, what we model, and you can too.
Great. Well, good luck, and keep me posted during the course of the next year.
Awesome. Great. Thanks for having us.